I think I'll just give you the floor.
I suppose this is all about high productivity teaching, so you've got to... Oh, right, just in time manufacturing then, here we are. Okay, well thank you very much for this opportunity to address you.
Don't forget I've warmed them up already.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Well, it's very kind of you to invite me, Richard, to come along this evening. Let me just say a few things about... To move this, I feel rather embarrassed, this gathering in particular, to say I'm going to move the laptop to one side so I can speak from my rather old-fashioned, old-tech printed notes. But first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here today, and of course it's always great to be at the Royal Society. And it was the previous president, Martin Rees, who in his Rees lectures a few years back I focused on the interaction of the expansion of knowledge through science and inquiry and technological advance, and how, as we understood more, so we were capable of designing new technologies which in turn enable us to discover yet more. And I think in some ways this focus, this conference today on technology-enabled learning carries forward that theme. I'm a great admirer of the research project. I do think that technology-enhanced learning is very important, and I completely buy the central proposition that technology can help us learn faster, better, and deeper. And I'm looking forward properly to visiting the exhibition in a few minutes to see at first hand some of the individual projects that exemplify that. Now, of course, especially if my colleague Michael Gove were here, he would say, quite rightly, that personal devices and touchscreen technologies can be disruptive in the classroom. There are times, I'm sure, when the teacher has to say that it's not, you shouldn't be on your iPad, on your laptop now. But at the same time, it does have the potential to improve the teaching process. And what really you've been researching is to enable us to understand better how we can harness the power of personal devices in education in the most effective way. And the TEL programme has informed the debate about how we harness technology to improve standards of education. Of course, it's been funded out of the research councils and others, with over 400 publications from 150 researchers in over 30 universities. Partnerships have been forged with practitioners, policymakers, and the public sector. And innovative software, hardware, and pedagogies have emerged, some winning prizes and achieving real impact for learners. What I hope we'll be able to do is continue with such initiatives. I know that the particular £12 million that was invested has already been invested in this programme, but I hope there will be other ways, perhaps through the Research Council's Digital Economy programme, that it will be possible for the Research Councils to continue to support the work that you do. And at the end of my speech, I'd also like to touch on what the TSB might be able to do there as well. The examples of what you've been doing are very important, both for us in BIS, with my responsibilities on university and higher education, and of course in the DFE, with their responsibilities for education up to the age of 18. I think of the use of enhanced technologies for enhancing basic skills in maths and English, where there's a lot we can do, particularly to help with adult basic skills. I think if you want a classic example of how it's not quite a conventional teaching environment, but where technology can help, think of prison education. Prisoners have poor skills, and there is this vicious circle of low skills, low education, prison experience of prison, low employment, reoffending. And the virtual campus on prisons has gone live in over 100 prisons across England, with more than 15,000 prisoners registered as users. There is a particular role for technology in helping learners with learning difficulties and disabilities. We had a great day during the Paralympics when at Lancaster House we celebrated some brilliant assistive technologies, and those certainly apply in learning. The synthetic voice, which I saw and heard at the Global Business Summit to celebrate the Paralympics. Research which I personally have seen in which children suffering from autism find it possible sometimes to communicate with humanoid robots and can learn from that as a step to communicating with human beings. So there's a lot that these technologies can do to help learners with disabilities. Then, of course, there's technical and vocational skills, where, again, really important, the work that Professor Cox has done with training dental students. Just one example of how virtual simulations can support practical vocational learning. And we really are keen in the Commission on Adult Vocational Teaching and Learning, led by Frank McLaughlin, to try to find ways in which we can harness technology to improve the quality of vocational learning. It can help with widening access to higher education. And I think we're going to hear in a moment from Tim O'Shea, and I think Edinburgh has signed up, linked up with Coursera, if I remember correctly, and one of the hot topics in education, higher education at the moment, is the arrival of the MOOC, the massive open online courses. And certainly for me over in California a few months back, it does look as if we've reached a tipping point with a surge in interest in those types of educational programs. And it's very important that Britain stays up to the mark with that through the Open University and other higher education institutions. The Open University has already got a fantastic presence on iTunes U, with 56 million downloads of OU material since its launch, 85% of them from outside the UK. But we can do more. And I'm always struck by the following statistic, that we have about 400,000 students from overseas coming and studying in Britain at any one time in higher education. Last year, for the first year, the number of overseas students staying abroad while studying for a British higher education qualification exceeded that. It's on about 500,000. And often that involves online learning and other forms of learning, together with securing a very important opportunity of getting a British educational qualification. So what we're trying to do, and let me conclude here, is both support the technology-enhanced learning within British education at school, college and university, but also harness it to drive the presence and the export of British education around the world. When we launched our industrial strategy in September, one of the sectors that we specifically identified as one with great potential for the future in the international market was education, and technology and technology services is a crucial part of that. I've already this afternoon been at a long meeting on e-infrastructure, and it's as a tool for research, but it's also a tool for export-led growth. And when I meet education ministers and leaders from around the world, it's clear they have such extraordinary ambitions for the spread of education in their countries. It's hard to see how those can be fulfilled without harnessing technology. We had a visit last week from the Indonesian president and half of his government. Their ambition is for every year another extra 250,000 Indonesian students to get higher education, growing year on year by a further 250,000. It's going to be impossible to achieve that if it involves bricks and mortar and new university buildings and new campuses of the sort that we're familiar with here in the UK. It has to involve use of high technology. In India, their target, of course, is for another 40 million university students and an extra 500 million Indians getting access to vocational qualifications. Again, online learning and harnessing technology is a crucial part of that. So I see this as both a really important domestic challenge for us, but also a fantastic opportunity for us to spread British education around the world. I very much look forward to hearing from the discussions you've already had. I look forward to seeing at first hand some of the examples that have emerged from this research project. And thank you very much for inviting me to speak to you this evening. Thank you.